Hi, welcome to painting a watercolor robin. We're only going to use a few colors. I'm going to limit it to 5 colors. The first thing you want to do is put down a light wash to represent the white. This is a mixture of ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and just a touch of the quinoctorogen rose. It's a light purpley gray. I'm also adding the Hansa yellow in a few spots where the light hits the robin's breast, and there's a bit of yellow there. I actually have a very light sketch of the robin on the paper, which you probably can't see, but I can see it as I'm painting. I'm putting in the darker feathers now, and the darker feathers are a gray, but I'm looking at it and it looks to me like a purpley gray, and so that's how I'm painting it. I'm using ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and again a little bit of the quinoctorogen rose, and where I see that same color showing up in the shadow on the breast of the robin and on the legs, I'm putting that in. So while you've got a color on your brush, you want to be looking for where else that color shows up in what you're painting, and go ahead and put it in. The robin's red breast is a mixture of the quinoctorogen rose and the Hansa yellow. In a few places I've added a little burnt sienna. Now I'm looking back and forth at my reference photo, and I'm trying to see the spots that are light and the spots that are more red. And I'm trying to be aware that this is a 3-dimensional bird and watching where the shadows fall. So when you're painting a loose watercolor, you have to work fairly quickly. If everything's not wet, it won't flow together. And that's kind of the beauty of a loose watercolor, the way the colors flow together kind of softly. Putting in a few of the darks. When you're painting and you see a dark, paint it dark, like go bold. If you are afraid of putting that dark mark down that you see, your painting will just be kind of pale and lifeless. When you see the darks, paint them dark. It will add interest and vibrance to your paintings. Try to be observant. Sometimes the darks are where you don't look for them. And there we go with the darks. Don't be afraid of the darks. Also, when you see white, look at it carefully. It's probably never white. It's probably a pale blue or a pale pink or a pale orange. this robin's breast is a lot of white, but when you look at it, it's really very pale yellow, very pale blue. The shadows appear purplish. And it's noticing those kinds of things that kind of lends a little magic to your painting. Okay, putting in the eye here. I've drawn out where that eye should go, so I'm pretty confident about it. But just a note on eyes in general. For an animal or a person, it's super important that that eye be placed where it belongs. If you don't get the placement of the eye right, your picture will just be awkward no matter how well you executed everything else. I know this video is a little shaky. Stick with me, guys. I'm going to get better at that. I'm learning how to record videos, and I'm not quite that good at it yet, but we'll get there. Trying to add a few more layers of color. So there's always a balance when you're painting in watercolor between adding too much detail and not enough detail. So here I'm adding layers of color, trying to notice little things about the shadow, and trying to add enough detail to make it interesting and not add so much detail that it's overworked. Birds are really popular subject, both with people that collect art and with artists. They happen to be one of the easier animals to paint, and they're pretty popular. People really like birds, and I hope you have fun with this watercolor tutorial on this little robin.